Hello. Welcome. Come take a seat. Haven't seen you since, must be April. It's been a while since we've had one of these sessions. Well, this is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club, and I'm your host, Rob, to lead you in a therapy session for tonight. Joining me and maybe bring some positive energy, I'm not entirely sure, is Jesse. Hello, mate.
Yeah. Where do we start? We're fucking back here again. I can't believe we're back here again.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. What are you charging me for the therapy session this week?
Life. Life is the charge. Life as an Essendon supporter.
Life imprisonment as an Essendon supporter.
Yes. We are a tortured bunch. And good to see for the first time since that day in that last pod in April, subbing in for Dr. Damo, Smart Damo, is Mert. Hello, mate.
G'day, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of yell and rant therapy, I think.
Just get it off the chest. Get it out there.
Yeah.
Get the emotions.
Just for a change of pace.
Yeah. I think we'll just leave ration at the door for tonight for a little bit, and then maybe towards the end we might bring some back. But
so have we figured out that Mert is like the opposite to Keo, like Ollie Keo, which is like only likes the dark pods.
Yeah. Yeah. Born in the dark.
Born in the dark.
Yeah. Because I remember when I first came on the pod, that was like Woosh's end era where we were losing badly every week. And Mert was on every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
You had plenty to say back then.
Mm.
Still do have plenty to say, I'm sure.
Still got plenty to say.
Still got plenty to say. Yeah. I recall looking at my phone late in the game. Hadn't looked at it in some time, and I had a string of messages that said, Coach, sub me in. I'm ready to go from Mert. And I was like, well, sounds like he's ready to go. So it is good to have you.
Good to be back.
Yeah, I guess initial thoughts, fellas, before we dive in. Obviously, there's plenty of discussion about the umpiring, which I know we'll get into, but also the fact that once again we went to water when it really mattered.
Yeah.
It reminded me in a really funny way of the 2021 elimination final against the Dogs, where started okay, had some opportunities, didn't take the opportunities, get a few decisions that go against you, and then it just crumbles apart. And it's been a theme for a long time in these big high-pressure games that this has happened. Not all the time, but it certainly seems that this stage of the year, particularly on the big MCG lights, night games often, maybe a bit of
outdoors games. I think
outdoor games is a theme. I've done some bit of research about MCG night games as well that we'll get into in a minute. But
wet,
hate wet,
cats,
hate cats.
We should have been the cats in this situation.
I know we were the cats. Usually cats don't like wet weather, but apparently those ones do, and we don't. But yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that night a little bit. And yeah, I haven't been that angry or upset, borderline catatonic at points. I need to apologise to someone who came and said they loved the pod close to 3/4 time on Saturday night, and I was sitting there by myself on my phone while my cousins were in the bar, and I gave him 0. So I apologise for that gentleman because I should have been more polite, but I was not in the mood to be speaking to people. And
yeah, I apologise to everyone on the ground level of M43 as well. Yeah, some unfortunate decisions made. I don't apologise to Jacob Mollison.
Okay. We don't need to apologise.
I would like to make a suggestion just to the Sash faithful with consent of Mert to allow the subscribers to be able to view the video that was posted in the group of Mert charging down the stairs toward the fence.
I can Discord. I can put maybe one on the Discord. I think Discord only.
Picture like 85-year-old man yelling and storming down the stairs, stiff-legged towards the fence.
It was a good look.
Yeah,
great look.
Not my finest moment. But yeah.
And stone cold sober as well. You said
dead sober.
What a terrible night to beat the football, though.
Yeah.
I mean, already abysmal. Like one of the worst days of the year weather-wise. And I tell you what, I was glad to be in front of the fire at home.
Do you know? Honestly, I should have read the signs. One, my lovely partner was like, "Oh, you're going to put Levi in his Bombers kit before you go," and I'm like, "I haven't got time. I'm not sitting watching the game with him." Then she goes, well, you're going to lose in that case. Well, she was right.
Oh, jeez.
I get to the ground, and normally, I have a pass on my phone and I can scan it. But my uncle had organised some reserved seats for us, but because he's a bit technologically inept, couldn't figure out how to send it to me. So I had to meet him at the front of the ground. But we were meant to meet at 6:15. I get there at 6:15. I text him and my cousins, and they were 45 minutes late. So I stood outside the gate for 45 minutes in the cold and in the rain. I think that was the sign that I should have just gone home.
I'll give you a few other signs.
Yeah.
It's past the halfway point of the season,
Yep.
so that's a massive one. It was wet.
Yep.
We were playing Geelong.
Yep.
We were at the MCG.
Yep. Tick.
It was a must-win game.
Yep. Tick.
Milestone
Yeah.
games.
Tick.
A massive one.
Tick.
We went in with 2 ruckmen for God knows what reason.
Yep.
We had Nick Cox, 200 centimetres, as we know, as our sub.
Yep. That's the big
We
one.
had Harry Jones sitting on a wing as well.
Yep.
We've gone in incredibly tall. We decided to drop Nate Caddy. You just got to question a few of these decisions.
Yeah, I guess we can start with selection. It was a real hard one, and
It was farcical.
it was like
It's the worst selection I can
For the year?
I can remember. It's the worst selection I can remember. It's not like this was, 30 mils of unforecasted rain like it was on my wedding day.
yes.
We knew this was happening.
Hmm.
It was always going to be like that. It was always going to be slippery. It was going to rain through the game. It was going to rain the whole day beforehand. And we went with 2 out of form ruckmen, as well as the rest that we've just discussed. It was lost at the selection table.
Yeah, where do I begin? It was funny. Brad Scott made a comment in his press conference where it was like, it stopped raining, and then he said he got up to the box and it was pouring, and he was like, well, it's too late to make a change. But I think you're right that there should have been some forecast there. The one that really sticks out for me the most is Nick Cox as a sub, because I understand
decision.
why they want to have the 2 ruckmen there, because our clearance game has been poor for some time, and they want to address that. And when we get to goods sometime in this show, I actually thought Todd Goldstein's ruck work was actually really good. But having Cox as the sub, just even though it was a like-for-like replacement with Jones because he hurt his calf, but there's nothing there, you know what I mean? I was all day I was like, Hobbs is going to come in, he'll be a late change for someone. That was the one that really stood out for me the most. And then it was just the fact that our forward line setup was just far too tall, and
we played Jai Menzies in defence.
Yeah,
what is it with these changes and playing players out of position? We've been talking about it for as long as the podcast has actually been on the air, but it's getting worse. Playing Jai Menzies in defence it's a joke.
Particularly when he was okay there against Carlton, but particularly when we're crying out for a precious small forward in this game, it was baffling to me. But the thing I hated the most about it was that even though Guelphy and Heim were in the team and they did some okay things at times, but also went missing at times like most of the team did. But there was this one point in the game, I think maybe it was the third quarter, because they were going to the punt road end, and the ball was in our defensive 50, and then in the center square of the ground, if we think of the 4 points of the square, the 2 points closest to goal was Todd Goldstein and Peter Wright. The next 2 points was Kyle Langford and Jake Stringer. Everyone else was inside defensive 50. Now, on a dry day, Langford and Stringer are okay on the deck. They're reasonable, but they're not precious small forward players. I looked at those forward. I'm like, unless one of them takes a mark, and there's very few marks in this game, that ball is not getting to our forward line. If we've got Guelphy and Heim playing, why one of them wasn't just playing closer to goal just to keep that precious small forward? I don't understand.
It's a really good point you raise, because I think it's been a really big issue for us the whole year. And, when we're playing Elwyn Davey, it's been an issue because he gets nowhere near the ball and he doesn't want to get the ball.
But it impacts from a defensive pressure point of view.
I question how much he actually impacts, because he doesn't lay any tackles, and I know there's
but it's perceived pressure, and running. He's running.
But that's kind of the point. It's not measurable, perceived pressure, but he doesn't actually.
It is noticeable though when you watch the game that he.
It's noticeable to me that he doesn't get the football, that he doesn't actually want to get the football, and that he will. If you watch a replay and you pause at specific moments, you'll see, and you can talk to Kingo at length about this. He moves away from the ball. But putting that to one side, just for a second, it's been a problem the whole year because we'll have Guelphy who might be playing well one game up forward, but he'll also be contesting the ball in the air. He doesn't play as a small forward. He plays taller than what he is, or he plays a negating role.
He doesn't offer much defensively either.
Yeah. He might play like a negating role on a Sicily like he did in round one, but it's not it's not a Waller.
No.
Yeah. He's not that Waller chase down, high pressure, high intensity kind of player. And we don't have that. And I think, at times Menzies has actually chased well. He's used his body. But for most of the year, Harry Jones has been our best small forward. He's the one who's laying the pressure, laying the tackles, the pressure, the follow-up work. And like at this stage with the way our team is selected and the way our players are positioned across the ground and the positions they're playing in, I don't think we're even trying. Like we've got...
the pressure's dropped off massively from the first 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Like the pressure, you can tell. And that's a selection thing, definitely. I mean, you look at...
But then even like a Jade Gresham now, like a few weeks ago, Jade Gresham spent most of the, second half of the game in the middle.
Yeah.
So he's playing through the middle. Why is he playing in the middle? Why is Jai Menzies again? Why is he playing in defence? Why is Hind pushing so far up the ground or Guelphy on the weekend when we need someone sitting at Peter Wright's feet because Peter Wright can't mark?
Yeah. Especially in those conditions. Like it felt obvious to me because like Peter got to a lot of the ball and some of the ball delivery to him wasn't great at times.
Yeah, that being said, I actually thought he did contest really well under the circumstances of a shit heavy ball and awful conditions.
And he's constantly being dropped short to him.
And he could have, at the end of the day, he could have ended up with 3 or 4 because all of his set shots in the end, which is to do, again, with our forward efficiency, were from 40 metres out.
Yeah. But that's it. It just didn't seem like there was someone there who was just, I'm there to lay tackles forward 50 and I'm there to try and crumb and get goals. And unless we'd actually pressed up and we're in that position where most of the players on the ground are in the forward 50, there's no one there doing it. Like, I think one of the reasons it works, like earlier in the season when Peter was out suspended and we had 2 rucks at times, is there were times that we had 3 genuine smalls playing in the game. Like ADJ was playing, might have been Menzies or Hind or Guelphy or Hobbs, probably Hobbs.
Hobbs was doing that
defensive work as a half
defensive
really
and tackling.
Well.
Yeah,
sorry, we missed
Gresham's
that
the other one, but
time.
like there would be 3 genuine smalls that are actually applying pressure, and you can. I feel like you can get away with it at Marvel when you're dominating stoppage. You can have a tall team, but like I said it on Thursday, and I've said it 1,000 times on this show. There's when you play on the G, you just need to have a bit of extra run, and on a night like that, where you knew it was going to be hard to mark the footy, and you go through the numbers and see how low the marking rate was, how bad the kicking efficiency stats are across the board. Where was just that one person whose job is just to either get it and try to shoot a goal or just keep the ball inside forward 50 because it didn't feel like it stayed down there long enough.
Yeah, and people will say, because everyone seems to do this, they'll ask about the VFL and, well, who comes up. It's not necessarily about a like-for-like kind of replacement or anything like that. What we're saying is there's personnel in that team who should be playing in that small forward role.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's people in the VFL who should be brought in. The team should be smaller and someone else can be pushed into that forward role.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not working.
It's like, one of either you're taking someone out of the side or whether it's, it's probably not Peter Wright. They want him to be close to goal. But if it's a Langford or a Stringer, maybe a Stringer just plays a little bit higher up the ground when he's not actually running through the guts and just allowing someone to be there more regularly because I just felt like it was getting walked out of our forward 50 at times.
I really just think it's a Guelphy who needs to be directioned to, be at Peter's feet, be at the drop of that ball when we kick inside 50.
Yeah.
He needs to be there, and we don't have that.
But the issue is that they're instructing him at the moment to play that negating role, and it would be, as you can imagine, difficult to manage trying to be at Peter's feet whilst trying to defensively shut out, a key defender who's that intercepting option.
But the real point is that, it's such a massive failure in our structure to have 4 huge or relatively big, relatively immobile immobile guys who are sitting up forward,
Five-
basically alone.
5 players 200 centimetres and over, and then Harry Jones is.
You just can't
196.
play
Yeah.
Wright, Draper, and Goldstein. You can't.
Well, I
And
think I think you can. Play
I don't
them.
think you should play Peter Wright at all. That's
Yeah.
as far as I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm completely off him, and we're a better team
See,
without him in there. And we've had more wins in the last 24 months without Peter Wright being in the team. The midfielders have a better. Well, it's proven that the midfielders hit options better. They lower their eyes better.
No, I completely disagree because the
I'm
three,
fucking off Peter.
the three,
I'm off him.
You're not alone. There's a few people who are.
Yeah, out of those three, the one who's underperforming is Sam Draper.
He was
anyone.
easily the worst.
He
on
was
Saturday night.
he was awful, and his hitouts to advantage are so low, it's crazy. Like he almost, I watched him very closely for that second half, and almost every contest he was going to around the ground, he was just trying to belt it as far as he could.
Yeah,
and
he
Geelong
missed
were
the
getting
ball so many
possession.
times.
Like every time Geelong were getting possession.
Remind me of Smitty.
Seriously. His output around the ground is just, it's nothing. He doesn't take contested marks. He might do a couple of really weird, loopy, soccery things out of the middle, like once every 4 matches, but that's about it. And beyond that, I have serious concerns about the state of our list and what we're doing in continuing to play these 2 rucks. Given the likelihood that we lose a Nick Bryant in the future. I think our list, to be frank, is in serious risk of going down the path of North Melbourne.
Oh wow!
As we're
Jesus,
that is drastic.
Jesus.
as we're
Jesus.
as we're currently selecting it.
So Gee, you are dark.
As we're currently selecting it based on current selections and the fact that we don't reward performance in the 2s. I think that's where we're going.
Are you saying in terms of losing players to other clubs, or
I think losing players.
There's rumours of Draper going
absolutely
back to Adelaide, but who knows if that's going to happen or not.
Losing young players, good players to other clubs. You look at teams like Hawthorn and what a bit of belief, a bit of confidence, and a coach backing young players does to them, and what it does to their performance. And then conversely, you look at Essendon and Brad Scott. It is a dichotomous opposite.
My understanding is that Brian will be playing for Essendon next season. That is my understanding, and I'm still pretty firm in that belief that is going to be the case. But whether or not,
absolute idiot if that's true.
But whether or not that continues,
it would be the dumbest thing of all time.
Yeah, but yeah, so neither ruck took a mark inside 50. Obviously, one of those we know was a pretty contentious moment where a free kick should have been paid but wasn't.
The 5-goal turnaround that occurred. 6-goal turnaround.
Here's a stat for you while we're on the rucks real quick. Sam Draper went at 0% by foot with 5 kicks. So there you go.
Wow.
0% by foot.
Seems
How many disposals did he have?
I don't know, but I was just looking at kicks. But
he had 5 disposals.
And I guess to wrap up the thing about having small pressure players there. In a game with those conditions where there is obviously a directive at some point, and we've all played amateur footy in bad conditions where they just get it forward at all costs. That's where it helps to have guys who can actually pick it up off the ground and not, 200 centimetre guys in the forward 50. So,
as Kingo said, Hobbs is basically Robert Harvey in the wet. So
Robert Harvey in the wet.
Yeah,
that was a big mistake not playing Hobbs. And Perkins has got to go into the bin for a few weeks.
Yeah,
interestingly, he only had 62% game time.
Yeah, so I got tagged in.
What's going on there?
What's the point of playing?
He can't be fit.
Yeah, because I got tagged in a tweet from Scott from lunchtime talking about that, and I didn't realize it at the time because I actually thought he did some pretty good things at times during the game, but then it's just obviously the gaps between his moments in the game.
That's the thing with Perkins though. Whenever he's near the ball and has the ball, he has impact, but he just has not been able to get enough of the footy and goes missing through large periods of games.
I thought he was really good this year up until the point when he got injured. I actually thought it was a real turning point. Yeah. And since then, he's been absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a confidence thing, I presume, because I know his work rate is great off the field. He's a hard trainer. He's obviously got the self-belief. But
it's time to give someone else a go, though, through the midfield. But it really is.
62% game time, that's what Nick Bryan would get when he was a second ruck. That is very low. He had less time on the ground than Jones.
Nick Bryan gets 40%.
But yeah, it's a concern that like you're running a midfield with that, and there's so much workload is then put onto Caldwell and to Durham and to Merritt and to anyone like those three guys because they're doing all the work. If
Caldwell
should
much
leave
of a
rotation, Caldwell shouldn't leave. He was awesome. By the way, it's a sad what is probably his best game for the club's going to get overshadowed by this loss. But
why does Brad Scott hate him so much?
Who?
He never gives him votes in the coaches'
Well,
award.
he got him
votes this week.
They got him this week.
He got 5. So one coach gave him 3 and one gave him 2.
Yeah,
or one gave him 4 and
one gave him 1. Yeah,
which I think it's probably that because Brad hates him.
Doesn't seem to get a lot of votes. Do we want to talk about the umpiring? I know
he is a known Geelong supporter.
It's funny.
Mollison is a Geelong supporter. He's also the one who gave 18 free kicks to Sydney in one game and 0 to us.
same guy.
He hates Essendon.
It was some baffling decisions. Like there's a discussion around the Menzies one about the interpretations of rules that I can understand why there's debate, but like
I can't understand why there's debate. That's just clear as.
It's funny because the debate's coming from Jimmy Bartell and Eddie Maguire who hate Essendon, or go for Geelong, but just the flying back with the ball, not looking at the ball and hitting a guy is like the most blatant free kick.
And he was literally right there. He was 10 metres away from it.
And he just calls play on.
He's just a cheat. Mollison's a cheat.
It's, baffling. And then, as Brad put it, it's a series of unfortunate events. And the players, you could like...
The Stewart non-call, the Ridley holding the ball.
Garbage.
How the umpires and how we can allow this game, and I'm sure Laura Kane will, come out and support it. How we can completely do a backflip on officiating the game from one week to the next is just baffling, and it's.
They didn't call any of those in the West Coast game the week before that.
Well, they didn't call it 5 minutes later when Tom Stewart got caught coming out of defence, holding the ball, whereas when Ridley picks the ball up, has no prior at all, has no way of getting rid of the ball other than dropping it.
And they literally said like a month ago, oh, hey, we're going to call that way earlier. We're just going to call the ball up straight away when someone's been pinned like that.
Yeah.
Then what they do? They let it play on. It's like, we literally had a whole thing about this a month ago where you went out and said, oh, we're changing the interpretation. But that was literally what you changed it for.
That also went last week. Like there were heaps of them that just were let go last week, and then all of a sudden this week we get one against Ridley all of a sudden that just, it wasn't called for the rest of the game. Then 5 minutes later, it's not called against Stewart. Of course it isn't called against Stewart.
Or Jed Buse.
Yeah,
completely taking on the tackler 25 metres out.
It's an absolute
Did you see what
farce.
the AFL said?
No, what did they say?
So they said supposedly on the news today that they're no longer going to actually come out and justify decisions.
It's probably best that they don't.
Because it's fucking unjustifiable.
Yeah, it's probably best
You're
that
wrong.
they don't.
Isn't it typical? As soon as it's us, it's like, no.
Yes.
No, we're just not going to give answers on this anymore.
Poor old Essendon. Yeah,
Laura's doing a terrible job. Dills is doing a really bad job as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And, I think McLaughlin has just left him with a clusterfuck to pick up.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty typical, and he's fucked off to Sportsbet.
No, Tabcorp.
There you go.
Yeah, it was interesting for me, where, my footy chat of mates who are, various supporters from various clubs, when those people are going, geez, Essendon are getting hard done by here. And then you go online, you go on Twitter, and you see comments of people go, I hate Essendon, but this is a disgrace. When David King this morning on SEN is like, that completely turned the tide of the game. Jerry Waitley agreed with him. Yes, there's obviously a lot to talk about us completely going to water after that as well and not being able to fight. It just turns the game, and we're not a good enough team to deal with something like that. There are other teams in the competition who probably could still fight back from that, but we're not at that level.
It renders the game unwatchable, and that's where we're at with the AFL these days. Is that it's so inconsistent, it's impossible to justify it to the point where the AFL now are not even trying to justify it. They fuck with the game beyond comprehension.
Yeah,
it's actually it's not enjoyable to watch it because it's just a completely different game It's officiated completely differently one game to the next.
There's zero consistency. Well, it's too hard. There's too many rules, too many interpretations.
They need to fuck it all off and go back to scratch.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what
Fish
people
out.
say. There's some people that have mixed reviews about it, and I've never really been. I don't think there's ever been a game in my life where I've said, because of the umpires, we lost that game. And I'm not putting it all down to that, but that is the closest that I'll ever get to saying, in a wet weather game where, there'd only been at that point in time, possibly, 11 goals kicked in the game.
And a 3-goal lead feels like a 6-goal lead. And it felt like it at that point.
That was in a dry weather. That was a 40-point lead that was given to Geelong. But if you look at the circumstances that prevailed, Draper's result, he probably wouldn't have kicked the goal knowing Drapes. But regardless,
he would not have kicked a goal. We all know that.
But regardless, he was directly in front from 25 metres out. They transitioned the ball. Our fault for not being aware of where our man was and falling asleep and being cranky. They go down the end, directly score a goal. And then they go on to score 3 more goals, which are direct in 2 or 3 minutes from free kicks that were very contentious and in a lot of ways shouldn't be paid. We then fast forward another 5-10 minutes and Durham tackles Buse 25 metres out directly in front. No free kick. Caldwell tackles Stewart probably about 50 out. You look at that. They could have given Geelong. They gave Geelong 4 goals. We could have had 3 goals going the other way. It's a 5-goal turnaround. It really should have been within a couple of points.
There was
that
also
fourth quarter.
There was
and
also,
that completely ruins the momentum of the game. And it's on our shoulders for not stepping up. But I've played football and I can understand how that does really, impact you. And what that meant for us in the fourth quarter was that we had to play high risk football. We lost all of our structure. And if one thing went wrong, the game was done.
Which it did.
Which it did in the very
quickly.
first 2 minutes of the
but
game.
I don't know about that because we were only 20 points down when we were going into that last quarter. And I'm not detracting from anything you've said there, and I agree with all of it. But
everything had to go right for us, though. In a 20
I don't think so. Like
in a 20-point deficit, you've got to kick. We had to kick. We'd only kicked
teams routinely
like 6 goals. We had to kick almost double the amount of goals in a quarter.
I understand that, and it's more difficult in the wet. But then Geelong go on to kick. They kick 40 points in that last. To basically nothing in that last quarter.
Well, it's pretty easy when you're playing all-out attack like what you would in FIFA, and you're not defending at all. You're taking risky situations. You're bombing it forward, turning it over where you wouldn't usually.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy.
No. We do usually turn it over. I think that's the...
Yeah.
Not as bad as that. That was bad.
Yeah, no, there was plenty of those. And then, another milestone game lost. Definitely should have remembered that coming to the game that we always lose them. So Heppel's 250 to add to the list. So Merritt's 200, obviously lost by 77 to the Cats. And then I'll give you some great ones here. So Hepp's 200, lost by 58 to Sydney. Merritt's 150, lost to GWS. Cale Hooker's 200, lost to West Coast. We did win Dave Zaharakis' 200th game, so that's one. But,
that's one.
One that really stands out, and I know this one will hurt you, Mert. But going back to round 14, 2015, Joe Watson's 200th game against St Kilda, where we lost by 110 points. That was the end of the herd era, as we know. So,
it's really disgraceful, and it epitomises our football club.
It's fucking cowardly.
And the 150-year anniversary game against Carlton was another game that we lost. And
I really on Saturday night, I actually felt almost compelled to just go to the race and be like, "Where's the pride in the jumper?"
There's a lot of people that feel that way.
Seriously, though, like how often do we see this? It's every single year, and we're just going down. I don't see where the improvement's been this year. I genuinely don't. Like, we've had a much easier fixture. We've just dragged ourselves over the line against very poor sides at the time. Like, Hawthorn were really bad at the start.
They should have beaten us. They
should have beaten us.
They kicked straight.
West Coast, we beat by a goal. Adelaide, we beat and we shouldn't have beaten by 3 points. St Kilda, we beat by 3 points at the start of the year. These are all bottom of the bottom sides. We suck. Like, not only have we not beaten anyone, we've barely beaten really bad sides, and then we've been smashed by otherwise mediocre teams like Geelong. They were a mediocre side. We should have been up by 6 goals at half time, and we weren't.
Yeah.
And then we lost to Gold Coast as well recently. Like, this is last year on a larger scale, and we're going to be losing by more and more.
are you like? I'll ask you, Jesse, because I know what Mert's answer is going to be. But are you of the opinion that this is the beginning of the end, similar to what happened last season, or do you still have belief that this can be turned around and what we saw on Saturday night was, a blip and not a dip, as they would say?
To answer your questions, I have major concerns over our game plan, and I'm not sure if this. I'm actually sure that this game plan doesn't suit the players that we have on our list, and if it didn't work for Melbourne, then why on earth would it work for us? And I think the simple reality of when you're playing this high press, lock the ball in your forward half, there's pros and cons to it. The pros are that you have territory and you're obviously giving yourself more opportunity to score, and what you tend to see is if you're good at stoppage, you score from stoppage. But what happens is you also, the negative being you're trying to kick goals with almost the entire team inside one forward half. And if you're not super on defensively throughout the whole game, which is bound to happen, it results in counterattacks and the team being able to get out the back and score really, really easily against you. And what we're seeing at the moment is that we don't have any forwards that can take contested marks. None whatsoever. Maybe if we had Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay, this would be a very good game plan. But we don't have forwards that can take contested marks. And I can't see how the numbers are stacking up, because statistically, it looks like we should be winning all these games. Like we're winning. We won clearance over the weekend. We won inside 50s against Carlton, smashed Carlton with inside 50s, smashed Geelong. And it just goes to show that we can't win games with this game plan because we don't firstly have enough defensive players that can also use the ball creatively to lower their eyes and hit targets on a short 25, 30 metre kick. And we don't have the forwards.
Or we do have them and we're not playing them, or we got rid of one last year who's now the second best winger in the league.
So I just don't think that this game plan is the answer to us becoming a good side. It's not playing to the strengths of our list. And I actually am a bit of a believer that the way that we played last year in the first 6-7 rounds is how teams are receiving the way that we're playing against them, where what we were doing was defending inside 50s for long periods of the game and then getting out the back and scoring quite easily and quickly. And I understand how that is not something that coaches would want to foster as a game plan. But from what I'm seeing at the moment, every team is beating us that way.
But there's three, Carlton do it, Collingwood do it, and Geelong do it as well, where they want to have space for their forwards to run onto the ball. And it works for them. It is really frustrating to see how much opportunity we get with the ball, and like you said, so much territory. And it is very Melbourne, and we've seen what's happened to Melbourne the last few years, where they get to that point of the season and it falls apart for them because they haven't got the ability to hit these, pinpoint passes when there's 30 people standing inside the forward 50. Just to go back to your point, Mert, I know you were saying we haven't beaten anyone, but I don't totally agree with that. I think that this is an incredibly even competition, and we have beaten some good teams. Every time I turn the radio, everyone keeps telling me the Bulldogs are one of the best teams in the comp. We smashed the Bulldogs. We completely outplayed the Bulldogs. Yep. The Giants are falling apart a little bit at the moment. We outplayed them, but there is one game that separates 5th to 13th, which is why in 2 weeks' time we could very well be 13th. But that is how close this competition is. I think there's obviously a couple of clear outliers at the top and at the bottom, but from 3rd down to the 13th, it is absolute open slate. I know Fremantle beat Sydney, but it is absolute open slate what's going to happen. It's the AFL's dream that you've got such a competitive competition. And I think we've done a lot of really good things to improve this year. That we set the start of the year, what do we want? We want to be more resilient. We want to be tougher in games. We want to be in games. And most of the time we've done that. We've had 2 games that we haven't. The Port Adelaide game, we shat the bed, and last Saturday where we shat the bed as well. But in all those other games, we've been there till right near the end. So I do think we've improved, but I think, I'm guilty of it. After a few wins in a row and a couple of good results and you're sitting in the top 4, you start to believe and you might think you're a bit better than you are. And I think this is now just things getting corrected a little bit, and we're going to come back to where we probably do belong in that middle 6 group. You know, if things go right, maybe we can pinch a 5th or a 6th. But where most of us probably had us at the start of the season is we're somewhere between 7 and 12. And I think that's where it's going to end up. And it'll just be those little fine moments that are going to decide whether we play finals or not. And I think that's the likelihood.
I think we'll miss finals. We'll lose.
You're kidding.
At least the next. We'll lose at least the next 2. And the only substantive things that have changed since last year are Nick Martin is playing in defence really poorly. Jai Menzies is all of a sudden playing in defence really, really poorly. Goldstein's in, and we got rid of Massimo.
We didn't get rid of Massimo. He got offered a lot more money. He took it.
Yeah, I mean,
we didn't get rid of him.
We refused to play him and only ever played him as a sub.
No, he's a potential All-Australian winger.
So, like,
Which is
we
lovely.
pushed him out. Whether we actually got rid of him or not, and who actually made that final call is a different thing. But yeah,
Sam Durham's pretty good though.
Durham's good. Caldwell's good. Merritt's in shocking form, and yeah, everyone else has gone backwards.
Everyone else is in Mert's bin. May as well do some goods before we hit a break and go to hot takes.
How do you possibly drop Nate Caddy after that game last week?
Because Todd Goldstein's on the selection committee. That's why.
Like, the shit that does to a young player's psyche, particularly a weapon like him.
Look, I would hope that there is a conversation with him where he understands how much he's likely to be playing throughout the year.
Might be the same conversation they've had with Sardis, where his kicking's gone backwards.
Yeah. Was
like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard the pod where Jesse compared it to a guy who's just had golf coaching lessons, but that's where he kind of sits. Had a brilliant game in the VFL, but I still don't think he's going to be playing seniors. Just some goods real quick. Jack Holwell was amazing. It's a shame that there was no one else who was at his level consistently throughout the game.
He's the only player I like.
Yeah. Before he got injured...
What about Merritt? Don't like him?
No, it sucks.
Mert hates the whole team if people haven't cottoned on
Darren?
that.
No, it sucks.
What? You know that's
Get
not
out.
true.
That's not true.
You had a smile on your face when you said that.
Yeah,
he's hot too.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously hot.
Jesse, I'll talk to this because you're probably a bit more my pace at the moment. But I actually thought that Harrison Jones played really well on the wing.
Played really well.
And this is my question for you guys. If Harrison Jones is able to play on the wing, is there room in this side for Nick Cox? Because I'm a big Nick Cox fan.
No.
Probably the biggest Nick Cox fan.
Definitely not.
And I don't think there's room for him.
Nah, because you put Caddy in. Caddy plays then.
What's it?
I just don't see what... Yeah, like I thought he'd kind of started to show some really good signs at the start of the year for the when we were looking really good. He definitely brought some intensity into his game. He was tackling a lot better. He was actually taking on the game a little bit. But like since then, I don't know. I just don't see. I don't see again the development how we've developed any of these kind of young players out of the draft.
Yeah, it's like
it doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, he's a hard one just because like with some other guys, he's missed a lot of footy. But I think just going back to Jones, like if I thought about all the things that I wanted from Cox, and he does it in little moments, but the consistency where Jones was marking the ball in that game around the wing, I was like, this is what Cox should be doing. And the whole time I was watching this happen, I'm like, you can't play both. You can't play both of them. No way, it doesn't work. But
he should never ever be sub again.
Yeah, like.
But the thing about Cox that worries me is like in his first few games he was playing that his first season he was actually playing that marking target and he was taking marks. I haven't really seen him do anything above his head. Certainly nothing of note for like really since then.
Not as much as we'd like. He does it a little bit, but I guess just the quantity of which Jones was doing on Saturday, I was like, this is just the move that's going to have to happen from now. I also just wanted to give. I thought Todd Golson's ruck work was really, really good.
His tap work was really good.
His tap work was really, really good.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. I was thinking about this on Saturday night because we don't play a lot of night games at the G. I think partly due to the fact that, they don't feature us for many of them. But this year we've been given a few because we have been playing well. Now, you guys can pretend that you didn't see this when I sent it to you during the day. But so we have played 22 night games at the G since 2017. I don't include 4:30 games in this. It's anything that starts after 7 o'clock. What percentage do you think we've won, Mert, off the top of your head?
10.
10%. That's higher than that, Jesse. Pretending that you haven't seen it already.
My guess is going to be probably 31%.
Wow. How'd you know that? How did you know that? How did you know that? But yeah, so we've lost 15. We've won 7. So win percentage is 31.82% and then loss percentage is 68.18%. So basically 1 in 3 games we win, of course, these night games.
But I mean, like, what's our win percent anywhere? It probably wouldn't be higher than 30% on any ground anywhere in Australia.
Look, since 2017, except for Marvel. But I don't know, it was just something I thought about because I was like, we don't play a lot of night games here. And yeah, it was pretty wet on Saturday, but this is something about a cold night where I felt like there's a few players in this team who just have not played enough footy in those conditions.
Yeah,
and
we don't like it.
They just don't know how to.
We don't like outside footy.
Yeah,
it's too cold.
Exactly, we're an indoor team.
A little bit wet. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just something I just wanted to bring up because I was thinking about it over the course of the night, and like we obviously speak about Peter a lot, dropping the footy and having issues, but there was a lot of fumbly guys who just really just struggle in those.
Well,
conditions.
I think that was like really the difference at the end of the day was just the skill difference between the teams. And you looked at the amount of times that it looked like Geelong couldn't do anything wrong. And this is where I bring it back down to pressure or perceived
in the second
pressure.
half, yeah.
Like it really, even in the first half though, there was when they were transitioning the footy, even their 25-metre kicks, those quick handballs out into the corridor.
The last 2 goals in that first half really hurt.
Really hurt.
They did not deserve that.
And that just general skill level, what I boil that all down to is that they brought the heat that day. And, you know, we've gone from being the hunter to the hunted, I feel like, in quite a lot of matches. And it wasn't like that at the start of the season. And if you looked at our pressure gauge, you know, it was well over 200 for most quarters within that first 7 to 10 games. And it just, I would say again, from a selection point of view, having over 11 players, over 190 centimetres in the wet, certainly doesn't help your cause to be a high pressure team. And it just looked like that Geelong didn't have that same level of perceived pressure, whereas there was times where we weren't under pressure and we were disposing of the ball incorrectly. And that's usually a good indicator that the other team is putting high pressure on.
I thought as well, and I mean, I've looked at the numbers and I don't think they necessarily reflect this, and that might have been because it was blown out of the water a little bit in that, well, not a little bit, it was blown out of the water in that last quarter. But I thought watching the game live that we were really overusing it at times. We were going one handball too many when...
We always do that, though.
Yeah.
That's an Essendon trait. We love to overuse it, and they want to go direct.
Well, that was another thing.
But not using it well either, like handballing to people under pressure.
Or handballing to their feet, or people just one handball too many to get someone out, and then when we didn't need to, and then all of a sudden it's a fumble and, you know, turnover or whatever. But I just thought, I know I'm being very critical of Brad Scott, but I just thought away from the selection, the way we were using the ball was, again, it was completely inconsistent for me with the conditions and how the game was being played. I thought we lost from an actual tactical perspective big time, as well as in the selection.
Yeah, and didn't take our chances in that second quarter, and that's what happened. Just another bad I just want to quickly throw in there.
More.
In a game, I know we're going to go to hot takes really soon. In a game where Jordan Ridley obviously had his hands full by playing on Jeremy Cameron, I expected a lot more out of Ben Mackay, and I thought he was terrible.
I think he's been pretty bad for a while
last
now.
few weeks.
You know, it's funny.
He's a 1 mark for the game.
You think that, but he actually led the team for intercept possessions as a defender, which is very interesting because it didn't the eye test
didn't feel like
you know what, he's got Peter Wright syndrome at the moment. Like he gets his hands to so many contests, but he just can't take marks.
Yeah.
And that was really a big issue with us at the moment is, as you were saying, Mert, our conversion,
there you go.
Our conversion inside forward 50 has been atrocious for years, and it was completely evident over the weekend. But why we're really failing now is that we can't defend either. Whenever the ball comes in our forward 50, we concede goals.
Yeah.
And that's now why it's looking really, really shaky.
Laverty had a stinker too. And he
They all had
he
a
was,
stinker.
He was awesome the week before, but
The one I'm really genuinely concerned about as well is Heppel. I haven't seen him play a good game since, for
a few
fairly
weeks,
long time now, after he did start the season off really well.
he does. Yeah, he has slowed a bit.
But he's a liability in the wet.
Yeah,
and
he
in
is.
a highly contested game, he's another player that loves being under the roof. He loves dry conditions, Marvel. He can take a mark, but he is very.
I reckon we
much
got
a
about,
liability.
based on the weekend, I reckon we got about literally 2 players who like playing in the wet. And they play in
and
the
one
guts.
that didn't play in the VFL or in the AFL, being Hobbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, everyone, and we'll come back with some hot takes. So we will see you after this. Welcome back. Part 2 of the show. Time for some hot takes. Thank you to everyone who sent them through. And apologies to those who don't get played this week. We can't play you all, of course. And if you needed one by now, well, here's a language warning for you all. Not that we weren't swearing our heads off. And I will actually remember to play the intro this week because I forgot last week and some people got upset. So here's a little intro.
Thanks, Rob. It's that time of the week where we get some totally rational and well-adjusted opinions onto the pod. On the Sash, it's Hot Takes.
Hot takes.
Could be a while until we hear that song again.
You were just saying off air, Jesse, that we needed a dark version for that for when we lose.
We do. We've got quite a few musicians out there, and I would assume there's also a couple DJs. So putting it out to all of you guys, maybe we should have something that,
A lost version.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Screamo Tech or something.
Screamo Tech. Speaking of songs, there's a couple of good songs tonight. All right, let's get things started. First one is False Flag. Thank you, False Flag.
While I can't say I didn't expect this, we had a golden opportunity to cement a position in the top 4, and look what they do. Look what they do. What they've done for 20 years, and I'm fucking sick of it.
Big time.
We're not going to even make the 8 now.
I don't know what those noises are.
What are those noises? Sounds like a dog eating someone.
Or he's on the toilet. I'm not quite sure. Do you want to hear that again? I'll just have a listen.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's have a listen. Is he moving furniture? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good one, that one. Let's
Dragging some bodies along
Yeah.
the floor.
Murdering some people in the back.
Jacob Mollison.
Yeah. Next one is the AFL mascot is a cat. That'll be good. Here we go.
All right, boys, take 5. I had to record this a few times because I'm close to losing my fucking mind. That umpiring, man, absolutely killed the momentum. And look, we probably would have lost that game anyway. We got absolutely massacred on turnovers, especially in the second half. It was against the run of play. We just weren't up to it. But it's hard not to just feel like you've been completely fucking steamrolled with these decisions that happened in that third. And just absolutely killed the momentum and absolutely just fucked everything. And, get fucked. Just get fucked.
You can feel it.
Why is it always fucking Geelong, man? Like, I'm so fucking sick of losing Geelong. Like, it is. So what were we saying? We were saying something on that. I remember you guys saying something on that Thursday pod, you and James, that it'd been since 2012 we were favourites against Geelong,
and they've still beat us by 10 goals.
And funnily enough, both games we've lost by over 8 goals when we were favourites.
Yeah. Last time we beat them, Josh Green was flying through the middle of the ground.
Fucking annoying, man.
Yeah.
Like any other team.
They've just got the woodness.
Man, I'm so fucking sick of losing to Geelong.
Them and Port. Like, now that we've got the Tigers finally off our back, it's them and Port. So
I feel like Sydney always fucking pantsers.
Nah, it's been even over the years.
They're always pretty close. We've jagged a few, but it's always very tight.
But they're always men as well.
Braden from South Australia. Thank you, Braden.
Right. First of all, please excuse my voice. That third quarter really fucking put my voice box to the test. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Second, did that umpiring cost us the game? Probably not. once again, in the fourth quarter, we've put the fucking Q in the fucking rack against fucking Geelong, and I'm fucking sick of it. We need to start doing better. It's a fucking pain in the ass. Third, Peter Wright. I think he needs a spell in the VFL to get a bit of confidence back. He's a handy player, but he just needs to take a lot of those marks that he put down tonight. Really, really fucking painful to watch. Fourth, I think I'm up to fourth. I don't know what was going on in the umpires' rooms at halftime, but I have a feeling that maybe Dangerfield, maybe Rowan, maybe a bit of Jesse Cameron just nipped down there for 5 or 10 minutes and just gave them a bit of the huck tour just to smooth things over with them for that third quarter. Clearly it's fucking worked because that was quite possibly the worst umpired quarter of football I have ever seen in my fucking life.
100%.
So obviously the train is not going 5-0,
Yes,
Damn.
Jesse.
but we can still push for 4-1. It'll still get us in the finals, maybe get us top 4, but who knows? Up the fucking plains.
Nice bit of positivity at the end. Mert, you probably didn't listen to last week's show, but
I've never listened to a podcast.
we need to. Well, the thing is, we need to blame. I'm going to blame you, Jesse, for this. You and your 5-0 train. This is all your fault.
Well, we've fallen off the cliff. So
Yeah.
you were the one at the station,
The Snowpiercer.
waiting for the Snowpiercer's
just-
fallen off the earth.
Yeah.
But we've fallen off it with the rest of humanity. So you're by yourself on Earth now, Rob. So,
Yeah.
but
The last man on earth.
the last man on
Oh,
Earth,
the dream.
on Earth.
The dream.
But it is going to be a big test now, and this is crunch time now.
Yeah.
It really is crunch time, and the test is going to come in the next 4 weeks, and it's really going to define, I feel, how all of us feel about this football club for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, it's dark.
Friday's everything because they're like the Pies obviously have to lose,
And they're off the back, but we need to come
They're
out
gonna
breathing
fucking belt
fucking
us.
fire, man. We need
They
to come
will
out
belt
breathing
us.
fire against these
Yeah.
guys. Like we need to see the pressure back up. Like this is do or die for this club. Like for a lot of supporters, a lot of supporters are already completely off this
Yeah,
team as a
after one
result
loss.
of we've lost 3 out
We've
of
lost
our last
three
4.
out
Three
of
out of
4.
four, yeah.
Like
And
we've
been
fallen
terrible.
off the cliff.
We've been terrible against a lot of pretty mediocre sides, but there is still some hope. Like and now the grim reality is the Giants are out of the 8, so we've never beaten a top 8 side.
I know.
this
I
year.
know.
Like,
all,
which is
all the teams that we've beaten are outside.
yeah, all outside the 8 now.
I know.
But all things
And if
considered,
we beat Collingwood, they'll probably be outside the 8 as well. So.
yeah, correct, exactly.
I just think the AFL should stop selecting umpires out of a pool of cross-country runners that Paco definitely bullied in year 7.
Year 7. What is your relation to Nathan Kruger, by the way? Cousin? Because there's a lot of
Just
lookalikes
so
there.
offensive. Fucking-
Hey, can I just also say that I looked into the Brad Scott, Chris Scott
Head to head.
head to head, and there is always one twin that's better. Like Harry Mackay's better than Ben Mackay. He's slightly taller, and he's had a better career than Ben Mackay. There's always
I assume, considering one was at North and Essendon and one was at Geelong, I feel like it's going to be Chris by a lot.
So hear this, right? This is the psychology behind it. With twin boys, there's always one that's more alpha male than the other one, because one is, you don't have two that decide what to do. There's one that follows from an identical twins point of view, and then the other one that leads.
Okay.
And I've seen this because I know quite a number of identical twins, which is bizarre. But anyway,
Scientist Jesse here we go.
but looking at their head-to-head AFL career, Brad Scott, 2 premierships, 168 games.
Yep.
Chris Scott, 3 premierships, 215 games. And obviously, we're aware of what the records look like.
As coach.
2 prelim finals, 2 losses, and I can't count how many. Maybe it's 2 flags that Chris Scott has
2
won.
flags, just 2. Yep.
But he has the absolute wood over Brad at this point in time.
Yeah.
So maybe we remove the plant at the end of the year and throw the fridge at Chris.
Are we back on the AFL plant train again? God, it's been
Remove
a
the
while.
fucking plant.
Remove
He's a
the
useless
plant.
plant. He's not even growing.
Let's get the better brother. I'm sick of
God.
it. Let's get Harry Mackay as well. Boot Ben Mackay.
Sure.
Or let's get Brad to step into an assistant manager role.
God.
And we'll get Chris
Where are we
in.
Get Harry Mackay and play him in defence too. That'd be good.
Yeah, Ben goes to full forward.
Yeah, correct.
God, where are we going with this? Let's keep going. Next one is from Not There Yet, But There's Hope. Can't be any worse with that conversation, so...
That's content.
Let's see. Yeah, that's content. That's... Yeah, I'm
Almost as good as the Brian show.
Yeah, I'm stalling for time because my computer's just frozen for some reason. This thing is carked it. Absolutely carked it. Come on, computer. Come on, computer. Play the bloody clip. There we go.
Yeah, look, it's not good. It's not good,
Mhm.
but we lose the same ways. So you think at some point it could be rectified, but Brad Scott's just got to learn that you can't play two rucks and such a tall team in general in those sorts of conditions. Sure, they didn't really have a notifiable ruckman, but just exploitation beyond exploitation. The first half was competitive. We should have buried them in that second quarter, and then the second half, we all know, just completely unravelled. But I don't want to blame umpires and stuff, but I know we most certainly can. In saying that, yeah, I still think we're on the right track. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just difficult at the moment. Should be able to be competitive and beat the teams around us, but it is what it is. We'll get there. Just feels really, really shit at the moment. Insert the dish quote here.
There's no light. The tunnel's closed in on us. It's caved in.
It's a long tunnel. It's a very long, long, long tunnel for the old Snowpiercer. Long way to go. Long way to go. Next one, boys. This is going to be a good one. This is Sam Sher-Rum, and then it says dash life as a Don. This person sent through 3 different takes, so this is their best version of this, so enjoy.
No matter how hard I try, we keep losing to the side and we can't break through. There's no stopping Jet Butte. It's so sad that we're losing without him even playing. And after all that's said and done, I'm just wishing that we won. Oh, do you believe in life as it's done? I can feel something inside of me say, I really don't think I'm strong enough now. Do you believe in love as a dawn? I can feel something inside of me say, I really don't think I'm strong enough now. I don't, boys. I'm not strong.
Fuck, they just get better and better every week.
That was
that
beautiful.
that was a first timer by the sounds of things. And the pianos, that's definitely the first.
First piano.
First piano.
I recognize the email. I do think this person has sent through a couple before, but that was beautiful. That is 100%. I'm starring that, so I don't delete it at the end of the year. That one's definitely.
We have to do a prize to the best music hot take because there's been so fucking many. And they've been so good.
It's mainly the dish, but yeah.
The dish has been amazing.
The dish is up there. We'll keep going.
Do we have dish this week?
We might. Bit of a tone shift off the back of this one. Maybe I'll play some different people. All right, let's go with Marky Mark. Here we go.
We are the umpires, the shittest constable. We are the umpires who make the shittest calls. We give referees that should not be paid at the G or far away. Our calls are always high from dawn to dark. You can all get fucked. Fucking Essendon. Up the plains.
Bit of a different shift in music quality there, but still good.
Yeah.
Still good.
Yeah. I wonder if that was his first take.
Yeah. I do wonder if that was his first
I
take.
hope so.
Yeah.
Or how many times his
Big
beloved partner at home had to hear him rendition that one.
Do that, yeah. Big SEN vibes on that one.
Yeah, big time.
We'll go to one of your favourites, Jesse. Rory from Scotland.
Bring
Here
him
we go.
on.
There we go.
Rory.
One of your favourites.
What the fuck was that shite? Honestly. A lot of people point to the third, lack of composure, decisions going our way, but we fucked that in the second, but we're on top, dominating, had all the territory, and didn't put the points on the board. So we've only got ourselves to blame for what happened after that. Shout out to Harry Jones. I thought he was immense before he went off. I'd like to see him further up, playing full forwards. Better than Peter Shite, who had another forgetful weak game up top. Yeah. I think the only person that deserves praise this week probably is Jesse for his daring fashion choices with that outrageous blue jacket that he had on. Very prime WWF era Rick the Model Martel / Jason Donovan from the Neighbours days.
Thanks, Ross.
Nice to get that bit of nostalgia back. Anyway, on to the next one. Oh shit. It's the Magpies, so we'll probably get fucked over in that one as well. The joys.
There we go. Good old Rory.
Yeah, I mean, how regularly do we need to see us not capitalising on these opportunities? Like, there's some serious, as I said, there's some serious conversion issues that we have, and I am putting it down to game plan. Whereas at the beginning of the year, it was really just purely a clearance game that we were playing. We weren't really locking in our forward half, and we were winning that clearance game well. The game was higher up the field, more open.
Yeah.
But we're not, and the game does ebb and flow from a control point of view, and it just too regularly in the past 6 weeks when we've had like complete dominance. It was the same against Carlton. We had complete dominance over Carlton for more than a quarter against Carlton. I'd say almost 2/3 of the game we had dominance over Carlton, and we just can't put it on the scoreboard.
Well, I think if you look at the game on the weekend, what I noticed was that a lot of our set shots we were having from 40 metres out, and you're not going to kick that many of those in conditions like that. And then, when we didn't have that, our kicking would just be directly to Geelong, not to advantage. There's obviously
typical Essendon shit.
Martin's 9 turnovers coming out of defence. Mert was turning it over even, coming into the forward line, and we just weren't retaining the ball. We weren't keeping it in for at least a stoppage in that forward line. When we were able to do that, guys like Guelphy and Hind actually kick goals.
Yeah. I mean, even at times when we won earlier in the year, we were still having a lot of those long shots. We were pulling them off. There were the few of those games at the start of the season where we were talking about, expected score, where we won, but the expected score says we shouldn't have. And that was kind of the case where
we were actually efficient.
We just kicked really well.
We were kicking straight.
But you look at the Anzac Day game, that is the hallmark of how I believe we play our best football and how we line up. And
I actually think that, sorry to cut you off, I actually think the second half against the Dogs was the best footy we've played. I think we absolutely choked them in that game and just shut them out completely. And I thought that
But the Dogs suck. That's why I don't really use it as an example. The Pies are a bloody good football team.
GWS, I think, for me, because GWS are actually good. Like when we were playing GWS, they were 5th on the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my point is,
really good.
Think about the start of the season, Langford won out. Like he had a lot of shots within that 30 to 35 metres, and we just don't see that at the moment.
No.
Couple more boys. We'll round it up. Ethan. Haven't had Ethan for a while. Thanks, Ethan. Good to hear from you.
Look, umpiring aside, because we all know it was a disgrace, we deserved to lose that game last night. In that second half where we just raised the white flag, basically, after, we couldn't cope with the umpiring decisions, which I can understand, but still, you'd expect a top 4 outfit where we are placed at the moment to respond a lot better than that and be a lot more mature than just giving up. And to be fair, it was quite embarrassing to watch. But more so in the first half where we had all the territory, inside 50s and momentum on our side, but it's just scripted that we wouldn't take our chances, because that's been a story for the past month where we absolutely dominate all parts of the game, but we just can't take our chances, whether it's shit inside 50 entries or inaccuracy. So yeah, but look, honestly, that loss was extremely bleak, and to be honest, looking at our fixture ahead and the way we've been playing recently, I've got our doubts if we'll even make finals. And I'm trying not to come off as too reactionary here, but there's a lot of games I see where I'm already penciling losses, whether it's against Collingwoods, Melbourne, which Melbourne are looking like they're finding a bit of form again at the moment, Brisbane away, Sydney at home. I'm even doubting if we're going to beat Fremantle at home as well. So,
Definitely won't.
yeah, it's going to be a tough second half of the season, and I'm not sure if my mental health can really cope another finals exit week one where we just get belted interstate by 10 goals. So, yeah, but anyways.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of,
Conclusions being drawn.
Yeah, but also there's a lot of big games coming up that really, it is going to decide the season, because it, like I said before, it is so tight in the ladder there, and, the difference between us having a home final versus not even playing a final at all could be very little. Could be half a game.
We had to beat one of Gold Coast and Geelong. Yeah. If not both of them.
Or Carlton, one of them.
Yeah.
Need to get that extra win there to hold us on. 2 to go. This one is from Biggest Dickest. Great name.
I'll start off by saying that hurts so shit from us to be able to drop our heads like that. Obviously, the umpires were ordinary, but I thought what was worse was how we let it affect us. We should be playing better than that, especially in a milestone game for the ex-captain. The two things that really stick out to me, and I feel like they should be much better at it, it's Ben McKay and Peter Wright, and that's taking marks.
Mm-hmm.
We lose so much when the ball goes down there and they don't mark it at either end. If Peter Wright can take, a few more of those marks, it's going to release that pressure. We can set up behind the ball, and he just doesn't do it. And then at the other end, we've got Ben McKay flying up for marks and just missing them all as well. Painful to watch it happen week in, week out.
Yeah, has been a recent theme of the past month. Sadly, has been the pair at either end, and yeah, I put some of our wins early in the season down to how good Ben McKay was playing, but yeah, he's been very out of form in the last month, I'd say. So
yeah.
Frustrating. Final one, boys. You'll enjoy this one, Mert. This is the dish to round us off. These are always good.
G'day, guys. The dish is a bit sad this week. Doesn't feel like singing. You boys say you like poetry so much, so I thought I'd give it a go. The Bombers lost the game. No glory, no fame. We've lost our fight. The solution. Stop kicking the ball to fucking Peter Wright. We can no longer hide. All gather round, watch us slide. The Cats were all class. They beat us up just like in the past. But to the umpires, have your after-dinner mince ready, because the dish is about to get petty. That third quarter was an absolute farce. So guess what, fellas? You can eat my ass.
Yes. Fucking well done.
Always good.
He's really rising up in my hot take clientele ranks.
Yeah. He's up there for you, is he? He's on the train, the derailed train.
It's just like really the anticipation of just waiting for him to, how is he going to weave in eat my ass into it?
God, we are childish. We are a childish bunch. Well, fellas, I hope this has been therapeutic at all for you, and maybe you're leaving here feeling a bit better or possibly worse. I'm not entirely sure, but it has been good to get things off the chest, and yeah, now we're staring down the barrel of what is going to be a monster few weeks that could, set us up for a big home finish or be the derailment of the season.
Put your house on Collingwood and get a house and a half.
Yeah. There you go.
Give you the red hot.
That's Mert's final thoughts. Jesse, final thoughts from you?
That's not my final.
No.
Okay.
No free burgers this week, which is a shame.
Yeah.
So hopefully Next week we get a couple freebies.
Yeah, no free beggars this week. Mert, final thoughts?
There'll be one change this week.
Okay.
Harry Jones out, Jake Kelly in.
And that's
Surely.
That's it.
That will be the only change.
That will be it.
God. Surely there's more than that. Surely we get
That'll be it, mate.
Surely we get more than Jake the Snake.
That will be it.
That's probably why,
will
it's probably why we lost, actually. It's because Jake Kelly didn't play.
Yeah, he's an All-Australian winger. We should have had him on the park. Well, fellas, thank you for joining me. It's been good to have you. Listeners, viewers, thank you very much for being here. Did I apologise to that guy at the start of the show?
You did.
I did. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to that bloke. And shout out to the people I had a few drinks with after the game as well. It was good to hang out with you.
Me, Kingo, and Kia are actually starting a breakaway pod on the Storm. So
Melbourne Storm pod.
Yeah.
What's it called?
We haven't worked that out yet.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a must listen.
Breakaway pod on Melbourne Storm. Well, that'll be good. I might tune in.
Yeah.
If you want to support the show and you want to listen to Thursday's podcast, you can sign up, be a premium member, $5 a month, and you get an extra show every single week during the season. You also support the show and keep us rolling. You
get to see the videos of me disgracing
exactly.
myself.
You get to see a video of Mert disgracing himself on the Discord, which I will be uploading sometime tomorrow.
How many Storm games have you been to this year?
Oh, heaps.
You've been to none, haven't you? How many have you been to? 0?
It's like the training
How many have you been to a single game?
Ever?
Fuck no.
He's just wearing a Storm beating and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're a good team.
Yeah, unlike us. They are a good team and they win.
I remember once, God, what year was this? Might have been like 2018 or something. And you know how they also play on Anzac Day, Melbourne Storm. We were on Swan Street and I was with you, Mert, and I think Kingo and maybe some other people. And probably would have been you. You were ranting about the state of Essendon. We'd just been rolled by Collingwood on Anzac Day. And the Storm must have scored a try because fireworks went up and like all of Swan Street lit up. And you're like pointing down Swan Street and you're like, that's the fucking team right there. That's what a good team looks like. And you're just pointing at Amy Park.
Right.
Yep. They're
Bang on.
Good team, Melbourne Storm. Well, listeners, viewers, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your support as always. We will see you on Thursday for the premium preview show. Hopefully we can bounce back and get back on the winners list, but who knows? It's going to be tough from here up the plains. See you later. Bye.
Go Dons.